Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and we're back for another face-off. This time, we've got Season 9 of Classic Who versus Series 9 of Modern Who, the Pertwee era versus the Capaldi era. And, unsurprisingly, the Pertwee era won, because while Capaldi and Pertwee are both fantastic doctors, the Pertwee era is much stronger than the Capaldi era, which tends to be a mixed bag, especially Season 9, which is my personal least favorite Capaldi season. Even though the Pertwee Season 9 is one of the, I say weaker, Pertwee doesn't really have weak seasons, but it's one of his quote-unquote weaker seasons, some people would argue. Let's see. Season 9 of Classic Who won with 67% of the vote. And modern Doctor Who Series 9 took 27% of the vote, with 6% saying that they can't decide or they thought that it is a tie. So 2/3 of the vote going to Season 9 of Classic Who and over 1/4 of the vote going for Modern Who, with only a little bit saying that they thought it was a tie. Let's pop down to the comments and see what they had to say. Well, before we do that, I'll give my thoughts. Season 9 wins for me. Season 9 really doesn't have any bad stories for me. I really enjoy Day of the Daleks. I love Day of the Daleks, especially the special edition with the updated effects. But even the original version and the omnibus are fun watches. The special edition just kind of makes the execution of the story live up to the story. And I absolutely love the story. The time travel, the paradox, I absolutely love it. Curse of Peladon is good. I won't say it's essential Doctor Who or anything to write home about, but it's good. It's nice. It knows it only needs to be 4 parts, and it pulls that off well. I really like the Sea Devils. I think it's a strong story. I love the Sea Devil design. Delgado is on fire on the Master, and him and John Pertwee have some great scenes together. And it's nice that they actually got the Royal Navy involved in it. That's pretty cool. The Mutants, I've only watched the one time. I liked it, but part of why I liked it was because I kept constantly wondering what was going to happen next. It did keep me wanting to go on to the next episode. So I don't know how well it'll hold up on rewatch, but I liked my one watch through of it. And the Time Monster, I think, is underrated. I mean, it's got some naft effects. The Kronos monster looks, let's be honest, it looks silly. And then the scene when they meet, like, the female version of her in the background, that looks wonky. But from a story point of view, I like it. It does some nice things. Again, Delgado is great in it. Pertwee is great. Katie's great. Benton gets some cool stuff to do. The Brigadier is good. I liked it. Ingrid Pitt is also very good in it, what little bit we get of her. And I really like the King in it. I wish we'd gotten more of the King. I like him a lot. So yeah, I'm actually really pleased with how Season 9 turned out overall. Series 9, on the other hand, is mostly terrible. It has Heaven Sent, which is amazing. Let's be honest about that. One of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever made. Capaldi puts on a one-man show. He should have got a BAFTA for that. It is an amazing performance in a great episode with a wonderful soundtrack. The Under the Lake two-parter is also a shining jewel in this season. I really like it. I love the way the time mechanics work in it. I love the way it resolved, and I think it's directed very well. It's just a really good episode. And Sleep No More is interesting. Sleep No More is not stellar or anything, but it's got some really neat ideas in it. I like Doctor Who doing its take on found footage, and I love the monsters, the sleep in your eye, basically becoming sentient and eating you. That's a clever idea. I love when Doctor Who takes something ordinary, like sleep in your eye, and then the fact you can't wipe it away every morning, it turns into that and kills you. That's clever. It's got to get points. Even if you don't like Sleep No More, you got to admit, that's a pretty neat idea. So it gets points for that. It's not executed the best. It's a little weird, and the ending still leaves you going, wait, what? So it's not stellar, but it's a nice watch every few years. I'll put it that way, when you're in the mood for something different. The rest of it is junk. The Zygon two-parter is boring and too long, even though the speech is great. The speech is great, but it's boring and overly long. Needed to only be one part, and Clara really gets on my nerves in it. The girl who waited, the girl who died, the woman who lived. It's just an excuse to have the girl from Game of Thrones in it. That's it. Let's get the girl of Game of Thrones in it. We can get her in 2 episodes. I have a whole nother video going where I talk about that episode, so I'm not going to talk about it here, but it's boring. The Dalek two-parter that starts the season is the worst Dalek story ever, possibly. I, I think I'd rather watch The Chase, and that's saying something. I don't really care for it. It's got moments. It does have moments. Missy's good in it, too. And there's some wonderful conversations between the Doctor and Davros in it I like, but they end up taking the cheap way out, and it kind of ruins the episode, like Moffat's known to do. And I can't really remember what else is in the season. I mean, Face the Raven's kind of crap, too. The only good thing about it is Clara dies. And then Hellbent's not really that good either, because it kind of undoes Clara dying, which is a huge frustration for me, and then basically makes her the Doctor, which is really annoying. So yeah, Series 9 is one of my least favorite seasons of Doctor Who, period. Even though it has a couple bright spots. So let's pop down and see what you guys said. Jake says, Season 9 is great. I loved all of it. Yes, that includes the Time Monster, especially the last 2 episodes. Fantastic season, highly underrated. The third Doctor and Joe are the perfect TARDIS team from what's probably my favorite era. This season had one of the best monster designs of all time, the Sea Devils. Now, Series 9 is where I originally quit watching New Who. Toward the end of Series 8, my interest was waning. Then after the first couple episodes of Series 9, when I was 15 years old, I called it quits with New Who. I had been watching since I was 5 or 6 years old. And Jake, don't feel alone. I think this is where a lot of people started leaving. A lot of people started tuning out during the Capaldi era, and I think Season 9 is what really pushed a lot of people out the door. The ratings have still, to this day, never recovered from that. He continues, I thought the show had gotten pretty bad, and I could see the PC writing on the wall. I did come back and watch it some years later, and thought it was a semi-decent series. I much preferred the 12th Doctor and Clara in Series 8. She was starting to get annoying by Series 9, yes. I think her last episode should have been Last Christmas. I completely agree. And I don't like when the 12th Doctor started to get all comical like Smith. When the 12th Doctor came out with the guitar on top of the tank, that's when I knew I had grown out of Doctor Who. Obviously, I grew back into Doctor Who later on. Haha. Yeah, I never liked him. The guitar, the sunglasses, it just on the tank, it just strikes me as a midlife crisis. Epic Videos from the Deep says, Series 9 is good. It has great stories like the Davros and Zygon two-parters. But Season 9 is my second favorite season. It has Day of the Daleks, Sea Devils, and Curse of Peladon, which those 3 are absolute classics. And he also goes on, I have watched the special edition of Day of the Daleks for the first time last week. Usually I prefer the original version of stories, but this time the new CGI added so much and made the battle scenes really badass. And the new Dalek voices are good too. Mohammed Galian, 1807 says, pretty much even. Season 9 probably has the better hit ratio, but I fell in love with Doctor Who through the modern show, so Series 9 will always have a special place for me. That's fair. Nostalgia is a very real, very powerful thing. Henry Andrews says, okay, I like Capaldi. I really like most of Series 9. Missy is great. Clara is, well, she's Clara. And Heaven Sent is fantastic. But even I can't pretend it's better than Season 9. The Sea Devils alone trumps pretty much everything in Series 9. Delgado is great, Pertwee is Pertwee, and Manning is good too. Season 9 isn't my favorite classic season. Some stories don't quite cut it, but at its core, as an independent entity, it's fantastic and about as Doctor Who-y as Doctor Who could get. Foggy D says, Season 9 equals 3 all-time great stories followed by 2 weaker ones. Series 9 starts well enough, lags terribly in the middle, picks up again superbly for 2 episodes before a week finale. I think Season 9 just edges this one, but it's closer than I thought. It may never have reached the highs of Heaven Sent, but it never plumbed the depths of Sleep No More or the Zygon Abomination either. Colin Coney, who is one of my top tier patrons, which I appreciate his continued support, says, on here I have to say Series 9. He says, I just can't bear John and Katie, and the writing in the 70s is just incomparable to the genius that is amazing Moffat era Modern Who. So at which point did you think I'd completely lost my mind? Yes, actually. Yes, I had. And then he adds on, of course it's a no-brainer, and I just can't understand why anyone would rank other than perhaps Season 23 lower than Series 9. So he was being facetious at the first part. And then I wrote in here, I'd added in at the time, I said by the third sentence I knew you were just having some fun, which the first time I read it I had. It's a lot easier on my phone than this big giant monitor, believe it or not. Yeah, Series 9 is pretty low on my all-time list too. Philip adds, Season 9 erupts powerfully onto your screen with Day of the Daleks, searing the pyroclastic cloud of the Sea Devils into our collective memories, and the volcanic flow of red-hot stories never ceases until the Time Monster, after burning a path through all opposition, finally cools and sets into the granite-like edifice that is the Pertwee era. Series 9 is the weak, apologetic burp you get after eating a tepid curry, the kind that leaves a nasty aftertaste in your mouth and a desperate need for the bathroom. Oh, now, Philip, don't sugarcoat it. Tell me how you really feel. Paul Bailey, who is a fellow Doctor Who YouTuber, says, I'm going to say Season 9 wins for me. Day of the Daleks, the Sea Devils, my two favorites. I'm so glad Season 9 is out on Blu-ray now, as I'm loving it more than I originally did. And the restoration work on that Blu-ray set is fantastic. Time Monsters never look so good. DW Fan 91 says, classic over any new, all the way, all day, every day. Reborn Itsy Bitsy says, classic wins every time from what I can see. Shamrock Particle says, Capaldi is the better Doctor, which I also disagree with. But then he has, but Zoinks and Armpits, Series 9 simply stinks. At least Season 9 is at least merely forgettable for half of it. Not merely bad. Bad? Bad! I see what he's doing there. Plus, the Time Monster isn't half bad. Condense parts 1 through 3 and it's a winner, as 4 through 6 finally move the story forward and deliver a ton of great moments and payoff. Saw it recently and it's nowhere near as bad as its reputation, which probably came about in part due to parts 1 and 3. Best of all, if you multiply 9 by 2, you get 18, as in Season 18, which cremates the both of them to Zulfathora and back and before dinner. I like Season 18. Phantom Sidious says, oh, classic Season 9, hands down. For many reasons, main one being Delgado and Pertwee. Yes. Modern Series 9... excuse me. Modern Series 9 is mostly awful. Yet again, Moffat screws up one of his Doctor's second seasons. Heaven Sent is the platinum, that's for sure, but that's about it. Just classic 9 for the Sea Devils alone is better than modern Season 9. Bananas Are Good says, even though Season 9 is my least favorite Pertwee season, it blows Series 9 out of the water. Really can't stand Capaldi's second series, even with a gem like Heaven Sent in it. The other episodes in the series are either meh or god-awful. Arioa? I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. I hate the fact that it doesn't give names anymore. It does those YouTube handles now, which is sometimes different than someone's screen name. It's very irksome. Says, classic, but could probably lose if New Who wasn't atrociously bad. JLBWHO, one of my patrons, says, sorry, it's got to be Modern Who. Capaldi cannot be beaten. Pertwee is good, but he's no Capaldi. I think you have that backwards. Considering Series 10 Capaldi is actually pretty much basically Pertwee. Yeah, I prefer Pertwee over Capaldi myself. Because Capaldi's Doctor... Series 10 Capaldi is great, but Series 8 and 9 Capaldi... Whereas Pertwee is just great as the Doctor through all 5 seasons. And then he goes on and says, especially with Heaven Sent in this series, Clara and 12 are great to watch. They are? This is news. Somebody call the news reporters. That is news to me. Season 9 is good, but it also has its dull moments. I do love the mutants, though, which I know most people seem to dislike. I enjoy the mutants. Problem Being says Pertwee for the win. Mikey Elliott says, even though in my opinion this is the worst Pertwee season, it's way better than the Clara show. Sea Devils saves the season. Cody W1, who is also a fellow Doctor Who YouTuber, says, pretty much the only time I would vote for the modern one. Series 9 is pretty solid, bar the opening and closing stories, while Season 9 has Day and the rest suck. Really? Sorry, but I find Peladon and the Sea Devils incredibly boring, let alone the other two. Interesting take. Cardiff11 says, unfortunate comparison, as Series 9 of Modern Who is uniformly terrible, boring, talky, and nonsensical. It's a good way to put it. So, most of the comments agreeing that classic season Who wins, but we did have some nice ones down there that voted for Modern Who. They took up for Modern Who, like JLBWHO and Cody. They're taking up for the modern season, which is odd for me because Modern Series 9 is not just a bad season. It's one of the worst seasons of Doctor Who, in my opinion. It was pretty low on my list when I was ranking Doctor Who. I mean, the only thing that really saves it is Heaven Sent and the Under the Lake two-parter. Although, again, I find Sleep No More an interesting idea with some neat concepts. The rest of it's just to me. So that's where we're at. Classics. That's where we at. Did I really just say that's where we're at? Where we at? I'm really tired today. So that's where we are at. With Season 9 winning the vote with 67%, 2/3. Series 9 getting 27% and 6% saying it's a tie. I want to know what you think. If you didn't get a chance to vote in this poll, comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out. And I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in 2023. That is my goal in Doctor Who's anniversary year, and we're so close. We're so close. So help me out with that. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There is a link to that down in the description as well. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It does make a big difference, and I certainly appreciate it. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review, Doctor Who related or otherwise. It is a sci-fi channel. I also have a link to my Amazon wish list down there as well if you'll take a second and check that out. Most importantly, thank you for watching.